Translation. Okay, so this doesn't mean translation like, oh, English into Spanish or something like that. This means sliding things around. So if I start with something like x squared, well, we've already used a calculator to graph that. It made this like little U shape like this. And I'm going to label that with a little f so we'll keep track of it. Okay, that I could have got off my calculator. But back in the day, before there were calculators, they wanted you to kind of remember that one and then use that and what you know about translation to graph some other stuff. Okay, and so x squared minus 5 looks a little bit more complicated. X plus 2 squared, a little bit more complicated. X minus 3 squared plus 2, also more complicated. And there were all these rules about how you move things around. Well, I mean, you can do that if you want, and I'll go through them in a minute, or you could just put them all in your calculator. So y1 would say x squared, and y2 would say x squared minus 5, and y3 would say parentheses. You have to get the parentheses right. X plus 2 squared, and so on. And you could just let it graph them all at the same time. What you would get is this one. You have to watch carefully because it's graphing them one at a time and in the order you put them in. What it does is it takes the U shape and slides it down a little bit. It actually slides it down by 5. This is at -5. Okay, but if you put the adding and subtracting, if you put that inside the parentheses, it doesn't move it up and down. Outside of the parentheses moves it up and down. Inside the parentheses moves it side to side. And it does it backwards from the way you would want. Okay, plus 2 is going to move it side to side, but instead of moving it 2 along the x-axis to over here, it actually moves it back to -2. So if over here is -2, it would put it over here. This is, I'm going to label this capital F. And so if you've got both going on at the same time, that's a side to side, and that's an up and down. So -3, that's going to move it 3 to the right, and then plus 2 up 2. So it's going to end up here somewhere. And you could have used, that's what translation is studied for, you could have used what you know about all these things being inside parentheses or outside parentheses to translate these around the board. Or what you could have done is you could have just put all 4 of them in your calculator, watched carefully as they appeared on the screen, and carefully copied in the order they gave them to you and labeled them that way. It would come out with the same answer either way. So let's try this second one. Okay, f of x is x cubed. And then I want to do g of x is parentheses x minus 4 cubed plus 1. Need some axes here. Now, if I go with I'm going to put these in my calculator strategy. Here's y1. And I want to put in x to the 3rd power. Okay, and there's no to the 3rd squared. There was a button for that. There's no to the 3rd button on there. And what you do is you go over to this symbol, like a little hat, okay, and the button probably has a real name like exponentiation or something, but I just call that the to the button. So x to the 3. And my calculator just writes it down like that. But some of the more recent calculators, it'll go, when you hit the to the button, it'll pull a little space up here, and it's waiting for you to put in something into that box, which works out just fine, unless when we get over here, you want to do something after that, like plus something or minus something. Then you're going to have to find those arrow keys, like the DVR keys. You're going to have to find those arrow keys to keep it from typing up here for the whole time. Well, I'll do that again when we get over there. Anyway, so you have to find the to the button, x to the 3. All right, and I've done that. And what my calculator says is something like this, kind of little S-shaped thing. All right. And then now I want to put in into Y2, I want to put in a parenthesis sign, X minus 4. Then I want to hit that to the button. As I said, if yours actually makes a little tiny box up there, it's not going to print to there. It's going to make a little tiny box. And then 3. And then you're going to have to tell your calculator, I want to go back down again. So if you get the little box up there, you're going to have to hit one of those down arrows. If you don't have that, if you have what my calculator does, you could just write +1. And it won't think it's 3 plus 1 because that's not the order of operations. So your calculator is going to think about this like it is. So if you don't have a little tiny box, you could just write to the 3 plus 1. Okay. And anyway, what it's going to do is it's going to move it 4 to the right and up 1. 4 to the right and up 1. And it's going to make the exact same S.